There comes a moment in your life when you must stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds about you. Because no matter how many times you try to justify your actions, some will still twist your truth, doubt your intentions, and misunderstand your silence. You don't owe the world your explanation. You owe yourself your peace. When you constantly try to explain yourself, you give others the power to validate who you are. You start living in the shadows of their opinions instead of the light of your truth. You begin to chase approval, not purpose. And the more you chase it, the more it runs from you. There's freedom in understanding that not everyone deserves access to your reasons, your emotions, or your journey. Healing begins the moment you stop defending yourself. It begins when you choose silence over reaction. When you learn that silence doesn't mean weakness, it means wisdom. It means you are mature enough to understand that peace cannot exist where explanation is endless. You don't have to justify why you walked away, why you changed, or why you outgrew certain people. Growth doesn't need an announcement. It just needs acceptance. There will always be those who misjudge you, label you, and talk behind your back. Let them. Their perception is not your responsibility. The truth is, you can't control what people see, but you can control what you give them to see. So give them peace, not proof. Give them silence, not stories. Sometimes the loudest statement you can ever make is your quiet detachment. The calm confidence that says, I know who I am and I don't need to prove it. Because real strength is not found in arguing to be understood. It's found in being content when misunderstood. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim your energy. You start living, not defending. You start focusing, not fixing. You realize that silence is not the absence of communication, it's the presence of control. You control what you allow in your space, your spirit, and your peace. So from this moment on, stop explaining yourself to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. Stop replaying your story to people who were never listening. Let your actions speak, let your peace shine, and let your silence heal you. Because healing doesn't happen in noise, it happens in stillness. It happens when you stop talking about what broke you and start rebuilding quietly. It happens when you stop arguing about who's right and start becoming right within yourself. Remember, your silence is not empty. It's full of answers the world doesn't deserve to hear. Walk with quiet confidence, knowing that those who truly care will understand without explanation, and those who don't never will. Your peace is too precious to be wasted on explanations. Protect it, guard it, live in it, because healing truly begins in silence. You don't owe anyone an explanation for who you are, what you choose, or how you live your life. Too often people fall into the trap of constantly explaining themselves, why they made a decision, why they distanced themselves from certain people, why they changed their goals or their mindset. But the truth is, you don't need to seek permission for your growth. Those who genuinely care for you will understand your choices without needing an explanation. And those who constantly question you were never truly trying to understand you in the first place. Every time you over-explain, you hand over a piece of your peace to someone who may not even value it. You are not responsible for making others comfortable with your truth. You are responsible for staying true to yourself. The moment you stop explaining yourself, you begin to protect your inner energy. You stop allowing external opinions to dictate your emotions. People will interpret your actions based on their own mindset, their own insecurities, and their own experiences, none of which you can control. Trying to explain your heart to someone who listens only to reply will always leave you feeling unseen and unheard. When you stop defending every decision, you learn to trust yourself more deeply. You realize that peace doesn't come from being understood. It comes from being authentic. You owe it to yourself to live boldly without apology. You owe it to your dreams to move forward without stopping to convince others why you're worthy of them. Let your results, your growth, and your calmness be your response. The right people will recognize your value in silence, and the wrong ones will keep questioning it no matter how much you explain. So choose peace over approval and alignment over explanation. Silence is one of the most powerful responses you can ever give. In a world where everyone feels the need to speak, defend, and justify, choosing silence takes real strength. It shows that you have mastered your emotions and no longer allow the noise around you to control your inner state. Silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say. It means you have nothing to prove. It's a declaration of self-confidence, a quiet way of saying, I know who I am and I don't need to argue about it. When you remain silent, instead of reacting, you protect your energy from unnecessary chaos. You stop feeding situations that don't deserve your attention. Most conflicts grow not because of truth, but because of reaction. When you stay calm, you take away the power of negativity. Silence teaches you patience and observation. It allows you to see the truth behind people's words and intentions. You start to understand that not every battle needs your participation and not every opinion deserves your response. There's peace in knowing that silence can't be twisted or misunderstood. Words can be used against you, but silence speaks with clarity. It communicates strength, confidence, and emotional maturity. When you stop feeling pressured to explain or defend yourself, you send a clear message. You are in control of your life. Silence becomes your shield, protecting your peace from those who thrive on chaos. True strength isn't found in proving yourself to others. It's found in being so secure within that you don't need to. When your silence grows louder than your defense, you become untouchable. You no longer chase validation. You walk in quiet confidence, knowing that your energy speaks far louder than your words ever could. Healing begins the moment you stop feeling the need to defend yourself. When you constantly explain and justify your actions, you unknowingly reopen old wounds and keep yourself tied to the same pain you're trying to move past. Every time you try to convince others of your worth or your reasons, you place your healing in their hands instead of your own. True healing happens when you take that power back, when you decide that peace is more important than being understood. You stop explaining because you finally realize that your journey is personal, not public. There comes a point where your silence becomes sacred. You start to value your growth so deeply that you no longer waste energy trying to make others see it. You don't need to prove how much you've changed. You simply live differently. The people who are meant to understand your transformation will see it through your actions, not your explanations. And those who still choose to doubt you are simply not meant to walk with you in this new season. When you stop defending yourself, you begin to heal in ways you never expected. You make space for stillness, clarity, and emotional freedom. You stop fighting battles that no longer serve your spirit. You start listening more to your own voice than the noise around you. That's where true peace begins, when you no longer feel the urge to explain your growth, your choices, or your silence. You learn to trust that everything you've gone through is shaping you, not defining you. Healing, after all, isn't about proving that you're better. It's about knowing that you're becoming whole, quietly and powerfully, without needing anyone's approval. Being misunderstood is an inevitable part of life, especially when you choose to grow, change, or rise above your old patterns. Not everyone will understand your silence, your boundaries, or your transformation, and that's perfectly okay. You were not created to be understood by everyone. Some people are meant only to witness your journey from a distance, not to comprehend it. When you accept that, you free yourself from the constant pressure of explaining who you are and why you've changed. People see you through the lens of their own experiences, fears, and insecurities. They project their limitations onto your path. They will call your peace arrogance, your silence distance, and your confidence pride. But what they fail to see is that your calmness is the result of battles they never knew you fought. You don't have to make them understand that. You owe no one a detailed explanation of your evolution. The truth is, no matter how carefully you try to explain your intentions, people will hear only what aligns with their beliefs. Being misunderstood is not a failure. It's a sign that you're no longer fitting into the box people once put you in. It's evidence that you've grown beyond their expectations and beyond your past self. Instead of fighting to correct their perception, use that energy to keep becoming who you're meant to be. The right people will never require endless explanations. They'll feel your authenticity even in your silence. Let others misunderstand you if they must. Their opinions cannot block your purpose. Your peace matters more than their approval. When you accept being misunderstood as part of your growth, you rise above the noise and step fully into your own power, calm, centered, and free. Peace lives in stillness, not in explanation. The moment you stop feeling the need to explain your every move, a quiet kind of peace begins to rise within you. It's the peace that comes from knowing you don't need to prove your worth, justify your silence, or defend your choices to anyone. When you choose stillness over noise, you start to feel a deep alignment with your true self. You begin to realize that peace isn't something you find outside. It's something you protect inside. Stillness is where clarity is born. When you stop talking and start listening to your own soul, you hear what truly matters. You recognize what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You stop reacting to every misunderstanding and start observing with calm awareness. In stillness, you learn that not every situation requires a response and not every opinion deserves your attention. Your peace becomes sacred and you guard it fiercely. Explaining yourself often comes from a place of insecurity or fear of being judged. But when you live from a place of inner peace, you no longer need to convince anyone of your intentions. You understand that truth doesn't need defending, it simply exists. The more you embrace silence and stillness, the stronger you become. You start responding with grace instead of anger, with calmness instead of chaos. Peaceful stillness is not about escaping the world. It's about mastering it from within. It's about being so centered that no misunderstanding, no criticism, and no noise can shake you. In that state, you don't chase validation. You radiate calm assurance. You realize that silence is not emptiness. It's power, wisdom, and freedom. And in that sacred stillness, your true healing and strength quietly begin to unfold. So now, as you walk forward, remember this truth. You were never meant to explain your soul to those who cannot feel it. You don't owe the world your reasons. You owe yourself your peace. Silence is not weakness, it is your power. Healing begins not when you speak louder, but when you stop trying to be heard by those who choose not to listen. Every time you choose silence over reaction, stillness over chaos, peace over proving, you rise higher. You take back the power that endless explanations once stole from you. Let the world misunderstand you. Let them question your calm. You are not here to be understood. You are here to become whole. The strongest voices are often the ones that speak without words, and the greatest healing happens in the quiet moments where you stop explaining and start evolving. So today, choose silence that strengthens, not noise that drains. Choose peace that protects, not approval that fades. Choose to walk in quiet confidence, knowing that those who truly matter will understand you without needing an explanation. Let your growth speak. Let your peace echo. Let your silence heal. deal, because when you stop explaining yourself, you don't lose people, you find yourself. And that, more than anything else, is where true freedom begins